Hey and hello, my name is Geno Samuel and welcome to this video that I promised about a week ago, in which I will discuss Christian and this channel and what's in store for the future, basically. First off, I'd like to say that 0 to 10,000 subs in just about a month is absolutely insane, and I want to thank you all for your support and your enthusiasm that you bring to these videos. Lately it's been getting pretty difficult to keep track of the comments, but I still do. I still listen to what you have to say, to your criticisms, and to your the emotions that you feel during these videos. It's very surprising, very overwhelming at times as well. Considering that I put up this video without expecting much of a response, turns out there's a lot of people who like this, and I'm very pleased that you're enjoying it, so hopefully I won't disappoint. I'm recording this about 7 hours before I upload part 5, so I don't know what the response is for part 5. I hope you enjoyed it. So last week I asked people to write down whatever questions they might have about me, Quick, or the channel, because I noticed that many people were asking questions in the comments, so I thought I might address them all in the same place. So this is where it is. Some questions were asked more than once, so I'm sorry if you don't get quoted directly, but hopefully your question will be answered anyway. So I guess we just start from the top. After the Quick videos are complete, will there be other documentaries like this? Kind of. Some people were suggesting other topics, other lolcows, other internet personalities, and honestly I'm not that interested in them, like DSP, for instance, and other lolcows. I've got some documentary topic ideas for the future, but none of them will be quite as long as Quick, obviously, because there's just too much information on Quick. What I'm most interested in is, yawn alert, history, but hopefully I'll present it in a unusual and interesting way. I'll present topics that you may not have heard of at all. I won't be focusing on people specifically for the most part, but I'm definitely interested in making a multi-part series on Gigi Allen, who I've been interested in for a few years. And then I'm also interested in making a series about actors and actresses of the past who are not very well known, perhaps actors who have never even had a starring role, but have had a long career as supporting actors or even as extras. I'm not sure what to call that series yet, but that's an idea I've had for a few years as well. What do you think is the outright most shameful thing that he has done? And as a side question, on the other end of things, what good things do you think he has done, if anything at all? I think one of the most shameful things is probably the she came for quick pick of Megan, and also because he voluntarily spread it around. Also, one of the other shameful things he has done is from his recent past, or from her recent past, is when Christine was basically whoring out his mother for money, telling people that she needs medication, when in fact she spends all the donations on Legos and toys and stuff. So that's pretty bad. I'm gonna get to that later. And what good things he has done? I'm not sure if he actually did anything good, per se. Some people might say that his eulogy for Patty was quite touching and, for the most part, honest and not self-centered, even though he did stick in that Sonninger thing at the end. What made you choose Quick specifically as a subject to make a documentary about? And when will you reach near the end of the series? Will you have others who have made analysis on him chime in, such as Satchmo or Fredrik Knudsen? What made me choose Quick? Ever since last summer, I think, I've had a fascination with Chris that I haven't had in a long time. I think the whole video after the breakup with Jessica was the thing that relaunched my interest in him. And I've been wanting to make the documentary since, I think, December. The actual catalyst for it was, I've been obsessing over Chris for a few months now, and one day in December I was hanging out with friends from university, and one of them took out a Snickers bar, I think, but it wasn't really like a full Snickers bar. It was like a full-size Snickers bar wrapper, but it was like 2 mini Snickers bars inside it. So when he held it up, the whole wrapper kind of went like this, and I just pointed out and said, "Hey, that looks like Christian's penis." So then soon after that, I engaged in about a 40-minute long tirade, telling those in the room about Christian and all I knew about him, and it really grossed some people out, definitely, because I told them some wacky stuff, including the whole unclit thing and the whole gash is a vagina thing. Yeah. And then on the same day, I got the idea of making the most detailed Christian documentary ever. And I thought it was quite a ridiculous idea, but also kind of intriguing. So honestly, I just started making it. I made part 1. I think I already made part 2 by the time I uploaded part 1 onto YouTube. I wasn't really expecting much notice of it. But some people did notice, definitely. I think the earliest viewers were from Kiwi Farms, where the video was shared. And in that thread, Satchmo left a comment saying that he didn't really see the point of people making Christian videos, which is fine, I guess. I mean, I kind of see his point. And Fredrik Knudsen actually left a comment on part 1. He seemed to have liked it. But apart from that, I'm not really looking to collaborate or discuss it with anyone else. I'd just rather keep it to myself. I'd just rather leave this as an independent effort, I guess. That's just the way I roll. How many episodes will this documentary have? I'm loving it, so I hope it will be long. Yeah, I think it's going to be a long one. I'm estimating about 15 to 20 episodes. Where I'm currently at in the story, it's about 3 or 4 months per part, because the events in his life are so damn dense. But after 2011, I think things are going to speed up a bit. So it could quite possibly be 20 episodes. The thing is, I don't think I'm going to end it before Christian's death. I know it's kind of morbid, but the way I see it for the moment is that the Comprehensive History series will end with Christine's death, whenever that may be. How did you discover the mythical creature that is Christian? I personally found out about him through Encyclopedia Germanica back in 2012 and couldn't stop reading about him for a few years. I discovered him on 4chan. I was in secondary school, and 4chan was this mythical, dark place of the internet, so obviously I lurked there for a while. I think it was about 2010, 2011, because I'm pretty sure that I was there when Bob died, and people were discussing him. And after that, moments came and went where I was really obsessed with him, and then I decided to forget about him for a year or two, and then I learned about him again and discovered that he was a woman now, and then he got a taint piercing, and it's, wow, okay. I was out for a few years. I had no idea. Have you had any contact with Christian in regards to the documentary? I haven't, and I really don't want to. I'd just rather stay back and not bother him, because she's been bothered enough. If Christine calls me out and engages in a conversation with me, then that's a different matter. But I would not voluntarily disturb the Chandlers. If you could meet Chris, what would you say to him? I really don't know. I haven't thought about that. It's kind of a boring answer, but I wouldn't have anything to say to him if I met him. Probably ask him if I can have his autograph or something. What do you think is worse, Christian or his trolls, and why? I think the trolls. But even saying that, many of these so-called trolls actually kind of had good intentions. Like some of the fake girlfriends, they tried to coerce him to improve himself and to tidy up his room and to get a better diet and stuff like that. But it ultimately didn't work. And then other trolls just were kind of mean-spirited, like Blue Spike, which really didn't do anything and just damaged him more. The thing is with Christian is that he listened to a lot of comments and decided to listen to what he wanted to listen to. People on the internet were always there to help him and to guide him into the right path. But he decided that they were trolls. By the time that the internet got to know him, I think it was too late for Chris to change in any way. He was just too far gone. So I'd say that the trolls were worse just by a bit, but ultimately they just exacerbated what was already there. Who do you think is to blame for his shorty personality? His parents, Chris, internet trolls, a combination of multiple factors, or something else? Definitely his parents were probably the biggest part, but all of them are to blame. Because they just coddled him and created a secure environment for him, which was really not real life, and he was not basically built for real life. So I think he was kind of doomed from the very beginning. What's your personal favorite Christian saga? I guess it's the Liquid Chris saga, but not because of Liquid Chris himself. More like it's because of Casey's father. Because the Casey's father call was definitely one of my favorite Christian moments. The way he just kind of casually just put Chris in his place. It was very eloquently dealt with, I think. Do you have any plans to interview people who have met Chris, or even just Kiwi Farms quickie people, like Marvin or Alec? No. I'd just rather not have any contact with anyone related to Chris, honestly. What advice on girls would you have given to Christian during his whole love quest? I probably would have told him that nobody will love him unless he loves himself first. But knowing him and knowing me, I know that he will never listen to that, because I went through my own love quest, so to speak, so I kind of know what he feels like. And in relation to that, I think that's one of the things that really connects people with Chris, is because they kind of see themselves in Chris. They see part of themselves that didn't get better when they were in troubled times, and they made a choice to get better. And they look at Chris and they see themselves who chose the wrong path, who chose to persist in his ill ways. Favorite, least favorite troll? Love these videos, by the way. Thank you very much. Favorite troll, I guess the Miyamoto saga was pretty fun for me. And least favorite troll, probably the ultimate reveal of Blue Spike and Jule, and the persistent Jule memes are also very grating. I noticed in episode 3 that you read out Chris's Spanish pretty fluently. Do you speak Spanish, and is it your first language? If Spanish is your first language, where did you learn from originally? Oh, you thought my Spanish was fluent? Well, thanks, but no, Spanish is not my first language. I'm studying Spanish though. I guess it's my third, kind of fourth language, but kind of third as well. And I'm from Lithuania originally, but I've been living in Ireland for about 14 years now. Did you expect to get this many subscribers so quickly? I really did not. I didn't think that anyone would notice. What do you think would have happened if Christian actually won the Parappa the Rapper contest? Even though Christian spurging out over losing the contest was very funny, God only knows what hilarity would have ensued if he won the contest. I'm pretty sure something very similar would have happened. Megan would not have gone on the trip with him, and probably might have even called off their relationship even earlier. How are you still sane? I was never sane to begin with. I've noticed that these are the only videos on our channel, but the quality of each episode has been absurdly high. Oh, thanks. Where did you pick up the skills from? Well, actually, this is my second channel. My first channel, which is, I think, called Geno Samuel Part 2. Don't mind that. It's been around since 2011, I think. It's where I posted all my music stuff. I make a lot of music, and I make music videos. So I think making music videos is where a lot of these, I guess, skills came from. And also, I used to make movies with my camcorder and myself being all the actors in the movie. This is a long time ago, maybe about 10 years or more. I actually made the Matrix trilogy into one movie where I played all the characters. It was a fun time, but I don't do that anymore. I just don't have time. Where do you get your sources? Also, all of the old Christian videos that are long gone, is there any sites that have them? Most, if not all, the sources are found on the Quickie. The problem is there's plenty of information there, but it's just kind of hard to get to. All of the information is kind of spread out, organized into sagas or into like certain categories of his personality or certain periods of his life. So it's kind of hard to find. So that's why making these takes a very long time. And I think the vast majority of Christian videos are still up on YouTube, but some have been mirrored and uploaded onto other like file sharing sites, I think, which are also linked in the Quickie. So all the emails, all the Something Awful archives are still there. The 4chan archive, actually, I kind of faked it, because that's why it was pixelated, because it wasn't real. It was just like a demonstration graphic. But the thing that I feel the most bad about is that, you know, the Sega forum thread about Christian from 2006. It used to be up on the Quickie, but the Sega forums were shut down, I think, last month. So I could have just easily screen capped that whole conversation, and I would have saved it for history. But I was too late to the party, and I think it might be gone forever. So I'm really, really bummed about that. I think you should wait till the documentary is over. I kind of agree. I think my input would have been more effective if I'd done all my research on like the entire history so far. But I'll do one anyway at the end. But not really at the end. I'm thinking of making like a live stream chat sort of thing when I catch up with Christine's life. So there's not much to make anymore. So I think I might do like a conversation stream then. Recent favorite albums? I don't really listen to modern music. I don't mean to be a contrarian, but I just really don't like it. However, I did like 24 Karat Magic by Bruno Mars. I thought it was pretty good, even though some of the lyrics are quite lewd. But what mostly happens is that I rediscover old artists that I never listened to, and then I get into them a lot. Recently, I've been listening to a lot of Michael McDonald and Christopher Cross. Damn cool. Will there be a release with all the parts put together? Like all the parts? I don't know how long that will be. That'll be like 15 hours in a video. I'm not sure that... I don't think I have enough memory on my laptop to render that. It could be. It could be. I'll think about it. Do you think that Chris's story is one of a kind, or has something similar to it appeared before him? I don't think anything similar has appeared before him. I think that the fascination with Chris really started the whole lol culture. So there's more of Chris-like figures around, like Pamper Chew, for instance, which is kind of a weird story as well. But before him, no, I think it was just a mix of his upbringing, his social problems, and the birth of the internet, and sites like Encyclopedia Dramatica, which is like it was a thing that only could have happened at a very specific time, I think. Where do you get this really deep and private info on him? The psychological evaluation, the school papers, the emails, etc. They're all available on the Quickie. They became available from like leaks, hacks, people actually going into the ruins of his burnt down home and stealing the school papers and spreading the information around. So basically, I'm just recounting what has been told already. What do you think is Chris Chan's most tragic moment? His father, childhood, etc.? Definitely, I think most of his tragedy stems from his childhood, especially the way that Bob really tried, I think. I think he really tried with Chris more than he did with his other children. Maybe he almost felt like it was a second chance for him. Barbara didn't try at all. Even though he tried to do his best, he was not great at all. His old worldviews definitely didn't help Christian's special state. What is your favorite Sonichu character? I really don't like Sonichu. Honestly, some of the most difficult things to research and to organize into a narration are the Sonichu comics, especially at the beginning when it's all like Sonic and Pokemon references, which I really don't know. So I need to do extra research, like to find out if this is a Christian thing, or is this a Sonic thing, or is this a Pokemon thing. I had no idea, because I don't play games, I don't watch anime, so I'm not really into all that, and I really have no clue. I can name, I think, 10 Pokemon. I think I can do that, but that's just about it. Is it true that Chris lost his virginity to a hooker, or was that a lie? Also, when his high school gal pals hanged out with him, did they do it willingly, out of pity, or did they get paid in grades money by Bob and the principal? I think there was genuine pity there, like with the interactions with Tiffany and Kelly. I think they were there willingly, and seems like they just did it because it was a nice thing to do. But about getting paid, I'm not too certain on that, based on Chris's childhood. I mean, Bob has done it before. Bob has paid a girl to go with him to the bus stop and stuff. So I think it's possible, and I think Christine referenced it in the Manchester High School Lego video. But I'm not certain if that was a reference to what he has learned from his parents, or was that a reference to the emails that the trolls posing as their gal pals told him. Also, has Chris made some positive impact on people who watch his videos, like people who want to change and improve themselves for the better after watching the train wreck that is Chris? He definitely changed my life for the better. I just basically think to myself, what would Chris do? And then do the opposite. And there's definitely people commenting about how they see their other self in Chris, the self that didn't improve. So I think the whole Chris Chan story kind of stands like a what could go wrong kind of example. Once the series has been caught up, if in the future Chris has any major minor sagas, would you make update videos on those? I definitely do intend to make videos after I've caught up with him, but I want to make full videos, like the 35 to 40 minute videos that I've been making. What is your favorite Chris Chan fact? I guess one of my favorite facts is that it kind of predicted his sex change, so to speak, which was honestly a lot of details in Chris's life seem very prophetic. It's kind of weird. Do you like Sonic or Pokemon better? I have no interest in either. Sorry. What do you think? How will Chris Chan end up? What will he do after Barb bites the dust? Also, what is your favorite saga? If this has been asked, Mr. Skim, sorry. That's a little to say this. Thank you. Can't wait until you next time. Thank you. How will Chris Chan end up? I have no idea. Really, no one knows what's going to happen with him. Especially after Barb dies. Because I guess what can happen is that he'll be instituted in a way. I don't know, like a special home for people who can't take care of themselves, or will he protest that because he wouldn't want to be associating with other slow in the minds? I mean, she probably won't violently hurt someone. I mean, she kind of has the history of running over people with cars and macing people, verbally abusing people. But I don't think that she will go like an Elliot Rogers route and actually kill someone. So I think the only person in danger of being harmed by Chris is Chris himself. What is your opinion on Chris Chan? Do you think he has given all he's deserved, or do you think that people should show a little more respect? I am not fond of the person that is Chris Chan, but I do attribute many of his flaws to his parents and his upbringing. I think Christine gets more respect than she deserves at the moment because of the comments she made about Donald Trump and stuff like that, and the fact that she is transgender now. It makes it harder for people to be negative towards her, but I think they still should, because it's still the same person who continuously squanders donations from people, begging for money, and in response buying Legos and toys and all other selfish stuff. Do you think that so many covering Chris's life was a good thing in the long run? I know Chris has done a lot of oversharing, but do you think that there has been any benefit of so much organized documentation of Chris's life? Benefits? I don't know if there's benefit to that. I guess it just satisfies people's fascination, because he's an interesting kind of character. Almost doesn't seem real because all the stuff that he did in his life. How do you feel about the positive publicity Christine has been gaining recently, i.e. her appearance at the convention panel a few months back? In addition, do you believe that there is any artistic merit in Sonichu, given its now established infamy? I think the admiration Christine has been getting recently is misplaced. But that's just me. It might be easier for some other people to forgive and forget for all that he has done in his life. Of course, they can sympathize because he's been trolled and bullied. But yeah, it's kind of weird the way that Christine is almost recognized in such a way. And artistic merit in Sonichu, he was definitely a creative guy. Looking through the Sonichu comics, there was some really creative panel work. I'm kind of impressed, but probably that's because he picked it up from somewhere else. What the hell does Chris mean by girlfriend from the ground up? He kept on about. I don't know. Almost kind of sounds like he's looking for a woman who was a virgin as well, who never had a boyfriend and who was never a girlfriend. He can make her into a girlfriend from the ground up, as in from the very beginning of. I don't know, it's just, you shouldn't try to attribute logic to what Chris says most of the time. If Roach didn't make Chris autistic, would he then have an easier time finding a boyfriend-free girl? I don't think Roach made him autistic, so to speak, because I'm pretty sure that I think he had it from birth. Considering the ages of his parents, I think it made it more likely for him to be born with autism. But I think it definitely impeded his social progress. I think he might have been better off if Roach didn't do that. So I think it ruined his childhood development. What was the hardest part of creating this documentary? Were there any times where you felt any other disgust or any sort of your own personal feelings when creating this? Thank you for your time. Thank you. Some of the hardest parts are actually coming up right now because there's so many things going on at the same time. It's getting really hard to keep track of all the sagas. I have not said the word saga yet, but I will, I think, with the Miyamoto saga. I'll introduce the concepts of sagas. And I was never really disgusted by anything that he did. If anything, I was most disgusted about Goatsy. I hope you like that sentence I wrote about Goatsy. Were you personally involved in any of the events regarding Chris Chan, or is the entirety of these documentaries sourced elsewhere? Is there anything regarding Quick that you have omitted from these videos, or anything you won't include at a later date? Yeah, everything is referenced at the Quickie, and some things from Kiwi Farms as well. I was never involved in any of the trolls. I just kept a watchful eye, basically. And things that I omitted. With every script that I write, I end up taking out some things which I feel don't really impact the story that much. Like in part 1, I talked about Tiffany Robinson, his childhood sweetheart, but then she left him for another boy. That's basically all that was in the script, and there really wasn't anything else to say about that, so I decided to cut it out completely. And also in part 4, I said 2 sentences about Bob having his 80th birthday and getting a cake with Chris making it or something. So again, I also had to cut that out because it's short, relatively irrelevant, and it really just kind of stops the narrative. And also things that I will omit and have omitted. I've omitted relatively inconsequential things, background chatter of the trolls, discussing the trolls, like the IRC chat with Andrew Simmons. I will cut out because nothing happens with it. And some things I will just kind of gloss over and mention that they happened, but I really wouldn't focus on them because the main focus of the story is, and always will be, Chris. Do you think there was a moment in Chris Chan's life where if he took a different route, would have prevented him from sliding down the slope to Trolling Hall of Fame? If he literally just had ignored the ED page and never contributed to it at all, never addressed it, I think that would have been ideal. Even though he kept saying that he was ignoring them, he really was not. Are you planning to do a video after this Chris Chan series to detail any personal thoughts? You're generally neutral in these, just stating what happened, and so I'm curious. No, thank you. Also, how long did it take you to gather all this information? Yeah, as I mentioned, I'm thinking of maybe doing like a discussion live stream after the series is completed. And also, it takes a long time to gather the information. I actually started collecting videos and photos in December, and I was organizing them into the relevant years and decades and stuff like that. And the research for the episode itself takes... it could take from a few days to a couple of weeks, depending on if I'm busy or not. And lately, I've been getting busy. So part 6 took a long time to write. And I've been doing well with the whole once-a-week upload thing. But I'm afraid that I don't think it's very likely that part 6 will be up next week. I think it'll be the Sunday after next, or the Saturday after next. I've been following Chris on the Quickie since mid-2009. Watching his descent into madness over the last decade had been incredibly intriguing. I suppose I should ask a question to mere speculation. Do you think that Chris would actually change his gender through the means of an operation to become the boyfriend-free girl he never could get? Thanks, have a nice day, and a good job. Thank you. I don't think he'll ever go through with the gender change operation. I'm pretty sure he stated that, even though he said a long time ago, in 2007, I think, in an email to Megan, that he would get a gender change operation if he were to turn gay, but it seems like he won't. He really won't. I don't know. Even though he hates the sight of his penis, I think he kind of likes it. Hi to everyone in the screen caps. Everyone in the screen caps, you are hi to Snowy Leopard. Do you think Chris Chan is a bad person? I know he did bad things, but I feel like he doesn't really know what the impact is, or that he just don't want to know. The thing is, I think that most people do things because they feel that it is the right thing to do. And I think Chris really has a flawed idea of what is right. Basically, his idea of what is wrong is that any criticism towards him is bad. And anything he does is okay because he has autism. So that's his excuse. I think throughout his life, his parents hammered into his head that he has autism and that he's kind of guilt-free. So I think it makes him feel entitled to do whatever he wants and get away with it. And he's kind of convinced that no one can say a bad word against him because he has autism. So I think that's the thing. I think he means good. His idea of good is not good. I gotta pee. Where does your fascination with Chris Chan come from, or where did you first hear about him? Yeah, I heard about him on 4chan, and the fascination, I guess it stemmed from seeing many things in him that were in me at the beginning, like in my teenage years. When I first heard his important message video from his 25th birthday, I definitely found myself relating a lot to what he was saying, which is kind of scary to think about. But yeah, I was definitely sympathizing with him, I guess. Why do you insist on reading all of his text letter for letter? I'd say that's the weakest part of your documentary. It's the one part that discredits you, and sometimes it sounds very mocking. Would you have fought to try to stop the trolls, or would you just watch from the sidelines? It's just my intention of presenting the information as is, which is part of my neutral tone, I guess, which I've been trying to keep an eye on. I definitely sounded a bit more mocking towards the beginning. I think at the beginning I tried to make it sound funny by force, like doing this thing, but I got a lot of complaints about that, so I stopped. And this letter for letter thing has been actually getting pretty decent reviews, so I've decided to keep it up. Sorry about that. But yeah, I understand why it might sound mocking, but I definitely try to keep it neutral and just say it in a deadpan way. What do you think about his autism? He claims to be high-functioning, however, I consider him delusional. Delusions of grandeur is normally a symptom of a disorder such as psychosis or schizophrenia. However, I doubt he has either of these. Something like maladaptive dreaming would be more fitting. Do you think he has co-occurring disorders, more than one disorder? And if so, what could it be? I'm really no authority on mental disorders, but definitely, I think there's more going on than just autism. Just looking at the Idea Guy saga recently, where Idea Guy convinced Christine that she was speaking with Sonichu and Roastree themselves. I think that's very, very telling of something more serious, and also considering that she's been isolated from wider society for a very long time. I don't know, close to 10 years, 11 years, more or less. And I can relate, I think, because I kind of spent about 1 year as an urban hermit, where I didn't really speak with anyone, or I didn't see anyone apart from my immediate family. So I kind of know what isolation can do to a mind, and I really have no idea what's going on in Christine's head at this point. She says that her mind is a blank. Could be. Do you think Quick would have been saved if he had been properly sorted into special education instead of schooling? I think he might have been. I think he might have been at least better off. But definitely his parents played a large role into the way that he developed. But definitely his schooling would have helped matters, and he might have developed into a functional human being with a job and living on his own even. After looking so deep into Chris's life, do you feel you're becoming Chris Chan? Someone has commented that I started to sound like Chris Chan, which I've noticed as well. I've begun pronouncing things the way that Chris Chan would, especially words that end with T, which Chris tends to overpronunciate that way, like an extra syllable. So I gotta be mindful about that. What is the song you used in the opening of every Chris Chan video? It's actually a thing that I made myself. I guess it's called Quick's Theme. It's the tentative title. I basically wanted to capture the essence of Chris in music form, so it sounds repetitive, it sounds childlike, it sounds mysterious and dark, with a little bit of hope towards the end, but then comes crashing down again. It slows down and gets depressing. So I hope I captured the atmosphere of Chris through music. I might upload it on its own at a later date, definitely. Are we going to ignore him talking about the constant temptation about being gay? Dude was so obviously projecting with his homophobia. Yeah, definitely. I think Chris was at least bisexual, I think. And I think because of his homophobic parents, he decided that his temptation for men was not welcome. You want to marry me? Thanks, but I'm sorry, but I'm spoken for. Here's a question. What do you think is Chris's most self-aware moment? His most self-aware moment? He definitely became more aware towards the end, like towards 2016, 2017, where he started to advertise himself much more. The way he started to think about himself as a brand, basically. The way he started selling off his possessions, his sonic totem, his classic. I think Christine became much more savvy and intelligent as the years progressed. What inspired you, and why did you start the series? How long does it take to research, write films, and edit the video? Any other direction choices after this series? Are there activities outside of YouTube you enjoy? Thanks for all the hard work. Thank you. Yeah, basically just did it because I thought it would be funny, or just at least amusing for me, and I think it was, and it's really interesting for a lot of other people too. So I'm very happy about that. How long does it take to research? It takes about 3 weeks, I think, per video. At the rate that I've been going, I've been kind of working on three Chris Chan storylines at once. Like, for instance, I'd be researching and writing the script for part 5, while I'm recording the narration for part 4, while I'm editing the video for part 3, all at once. So it takes a lot of time and energy, which I really should be spending on my dissertation, because I'm in final year of university. Any other direction choices after this series? Yeah, as I've mentioned, other documentaries concerning history mostly, and other minor figures, and any other activities. I love music. I make music myself, and it's not really outside of YouTube because most of my music ends up on YouTube anyway. So I'm going to leave links of my other channel and my other outlets out there. Some people have asked about a Patreon, and I really don't think that I have the capacity to keep up with patrons and all that reward stuff, because at the moment I'm just a bit too busy for that. But if you feel like donating anything at all, really, I'm going to leave a PayPal link. So if you want to just drop in a tip, that's fine. And I'm also going to give links to the music that I make. So if you like anything, just feel free to check it out. My songs are all available on CD Baby and iTunes, Amazon, and most of those big places. Most of the songs are available on YouTube anyway, so feel free to check those out as well. Yeah, I think that's just about all I have time for. I've been going at it for about 2 hours. So thank you if you lasted this far. And as I said before, part 6 will be up in about 2 weeks instead. I'm sorry about that. It just happens. Be sure to be on the lookout for any future content on this channel or on my music channel. And I hope I don't let you down. Thanks again. Bye for now.